Throughout all of human history, there have been many great businessmen and entrepreneurs. Andrew Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, Henry Ford. But amongst all of these men, one greater man stands out. John D. Rockefeller. Rockefeller made innovations at the helm of Standard Oil, which made him the greatest businessman in the history of the world. His innovative business techniques allowed him to create the first ever monopoly to graze the earth, which became so powerful that it took the federal government to take it down. But early on, Rockefeller didn't have it so easy. Growing up in Richford, New York, to parents Eliza Davison and William Rockefeller. William Rockefeller was a traveling merchant and con man nicknamed Devil Bill, who would be gone for weeks at a time and would rarely come home with money. As a result of this, Rockefeller had to bear the burden of providing a majority of the financial support for his family. This instilled in Rockefeller the grit and drive to work hard and to get ahead in life. To help provide for his family, he would sell candy to local neighborhood children. He also raised multiple turkeys and sold them around the neighborhood. When he became a teenager, his father moved him and his family to Cleveland, Ohio, where Rockefeller attended Cleveland Central High School, but dropped out at the age of 16, opting to take classes at the local community college. This was enough experience to get him a job at Hewitt and Tuttle Commission Firm. This is a day so special to Rockefeller that he celebrated it every year until the day he died as Job Day. At this job, Rockefeller gained much experience, but soon left and created his own commission firm. In just the first year alone, Rockefeller made $450,000, launching him into a prosperous business career. It was then that the first oil well was drilled, causing the Pennsylvania oil rush. Upon seeing this, inspiration struck Rockefeller, and he decided that instead of getting into the business of oil drilling, which was risky and inefficient, he was going to instead distill the oil, and he was going to do it better than anyone else.
Rockefeller opened his oil refinery in 1863 in Cleveland, Ohio. To kick off his career, he made a deal with Cornelius Vanderbilt to produce enough oil for his trains, and in return he would only be charged $1.65 per barrel. With this bold deal, Rockefeller had promised to provide more than he could produce. His response to the situation was to simply produce more by increasing his efficiency rate and selling or reusing his byproducts to save and gain more money. By 1865, Rockefeller had launched himself into success. At the time, Standard Oil was worth $72,500 and was one of the largest refineries in Cleveland. With this feat came rivalries and competitors. At the time, he had 26 competitors in the Cleveland area. By 1870, he only had 4 remaining competitors. The rest he had bought out or had influenced them to join his company and had the greatest minds in the oil industry in one company. In 1870, he incorporated the Standard Oil of Ohio and expanded his company doing so. The rest of his competitors he would influence by showing he could function at a loss longer than they could function prosperously. When doing this, he would offer them a buyout price and a spot in his company. By 1880, he had owned most of all the refineries in northeastern U.S. and controlled over 90% of all the U.S. oil production. At the height of his reign over the oil industry, Rockefeller had made many enemies, including J.P. Morgan, Cornelius Vanderbilt, Andrew Carnegie, and Tom Scott. It wasn't long before the railroads were fed up with Rockefeller's control and tried to force rates on him. This is where Rockefeller showed his strength and true business intellect and decided to cut out the middleman, building an interstate pipeline for transporting oil. After his construction of the pipeline system, the railroad industry was so deprived of oil, which it desperately needed for transportation, 1/3 of the country's railroad companies went under. In retaliation to this, Tom Scott and Andrew Carnegie started to build their own interstate pipeline system. To combat this, Rockefeller just stopped producing oil, which collapsed Scott's business, causing him to make massive layoffs. The workers then revolted, destroying 39 buildings and 1,200 of his train cars. All of the companies in Rockefeller's corporate umbrella were completely controlled by him. leading to the first and most powerful monopoly or trust in history, eventually causing governmental intervention.
Rockefeller's family taught him to work, to save, and to give. He loved business and was a devout Christian. He was driven to provide the best quality at the lowest prices, which changed the lives of the working class Americans who could finally afford to light their homes at night. Rockefeller strived to reduce costs during his monopoly by reducing the waste he produced. His humble beginnings, he was dedicated to giving back 10% of his earnings for philanthropic endeavors. A large majority of his charity went to education. This resulted in the University of Chicago and Rockefeller University. John D. Rockefeller and his family eventually came to donate over $180 million to the General Education Board. Rockefeller looked to the future during his monopoly and saw the importance of educating young Americans in his later life. The Rockefeller Foundation was also established to ensure the well-being of humanity throughout the world. This foundation is concerned with global pandemics, the food crisis, and the water crisis around the world. The foundation is intent on continuing Rockefeller's charity to improve global well-being. Rockefeller's rag to riches story is incredibly influential and credible for making America what it is today, because he changed economics, industry, and government. His capitalist ideals and endeavors increased American influence throughout the world and has resulted in Americans' continued leadership in economics. This is why he is so valuable. This is why he is the greatest businessman to ever walk the earth.
These are days when many are discouraged. In the 93 years of my life, depressions have come and gone. Prosperity has always returned and will again. And now on this my birthday, I desire to reaffirm my belief in the fundamental principles upon which this country was founded: liberty, unselfish devotion to the common good, and belief in God. As a nation, looking proudly to our past, where it has been noble, and recognizing with humility our mistakes of extravagance, selfishness, and indifference, let us, with faith in God, in ourselves, and in humanity, go forward, courageously resolved to play our part worthily in building a better world.